Okay, we're on Unit 4, Day 2, and we just finished the front part of the notes, so we're going to do the back part. This is part 3 of the video. And I'm actually going to start on number 3 and 4 on the back, because these are basically our standard ones. We'll come back to 1 and 2 in a second. When you see a problem like this, the only difference is they didn't give us the graph, they give us the equation over here. And there's 3 important parts of one of these problems. The point they wanted to go through, whether they want it to be parallel or perpendicular, and then the equation they gave us here. So on each one of these, it's important to keep straight your old equation, what they gave us to begin with, and the new equation we're going to be making. So if you want to pause and copy this down, you can pause and copy this down. All I did was take the equation they gave me right here, and I wrote it over here. And I took this equation they gave me on this one, and I wrote it over here. Because I really need this to be in y equals form so that I can find the slope. So I'm going to minus the 4x here on both sides, because 4 minus 4 is 0. And I end up with y equals negative 4x plus 6. What's the slope of that line? Well, the slope is negative 4. So my slope of my original line they gave me, my old slope on this one, is negative 4. Now, if I want to write a line that's parallel to this, what's my new slope? Well, if it's parallel, it has the same slope. So my new slope is also going to be negative 4. So now I can write my line. I'm going to write my form here, y minus y1 equals m, x minus x1. What am I plugging in for the point? For this and this, I'm plugging in the point they gave me, which is 4 and 4. And then my new slope, I just wrote it down right there, it's negative 4. And done. Okay, we're going to repeat that on this problem. They want perpendicular, but it's basically the same steps. I wrote it down here. I need to get this in y equals form, so I'm going to add 6 on both sides. That cancels, because negative 6 and 6 is 0, so I get y equals 6x plus 6. Here's my slope. This is my old slope of my original line, is 6. What's my new slope going to be if I want it to be perpendicular? Well, 6 is the same thing as 6 divided by 1. So on perpendicular, I flip it over, so it's 1 over 6, and I change the sign. So it goes from being a positive to a negative. So there's my new slope. Now my line, the same equation as I used up there, y minus y1, mx minus x1. Plug in my point right here for my y and my x. My y is 2, and my x1 is negative 2. And my new slope, I wrote it down right there, is negative 1/6. So pause and write this down, rewind as you need. Now we're going to go back to number 1 and 2 up here. And these are what I call special lines. These are the easiest lines ever, but people miss them because they're different. So I'm going to make 2 little things up here. You should write this extra little bit of notes down. These are special lines. My 2 special lines are a line like y equals 3 and a line like x equals 4. If it's a line like y equals 3, you could even do that on your calculator, and you'll see that it's a line that goes across like this. It's horizontal. It has a slope of 0. X equals 4, I can't graph that on my calculator, and it goes up and down. It kind of makes sense if y equals goes across, x equals has to go up and down. And notice these are, in fact, perpendicular to each other, and this one's slope is undefined. So these are special lines because they don't work out the way the other ones were. But these are actually easier. The easiest way to do it is just make a little graph. And graph this point on each one, which we just said is super easy. X equals 4 is just a straight up and down line at 4. And on this one, I want to find the equation of a line going through negative 2, 3. Same thing here, negative 2, 3. And this one I want it to be parallel to this one. Well, if this line is x equals 4, what do you think that line's going to be when I make it? It's going to look like this. And what do you think it needs to be? It's going to be x equals what? Well, the x is -2. That's the equation of the line. And done. On this one, I want it to be perpendicular, so it's going to go like this. And we said that a sideways line is a y equals. What do you think it's going to be? It's going to be y equals 3. And done. Easiest, fastest ones ever. Remember how much work we did on these? These are easy and fast. You just have to remember this line and that line.